book. So this one is I Find That Offensive by Claire Fox, a Provocations series. I'll start with the back cover. At school or university events, I've noticed an increasingly prickly willingness to take offense in the corrosive effect that this is having on attitudes to free speech. This trend to be easily offended is now exploding onto public consciousness with the unraveling madness that has taken over so many American universities and is now emerging on British campuses. It is time to create something more positive and robust than today's offense wars, a critical climate that really is in opposition to some of the more destructive social and cultural trends that this generation has come to exemplify. On the inside, when you hear that now ubiquitous phrase, I find that offensive, you know you're being told to shut up. While the terrible murder of Charlie Hebdo cartoonists demonstrated that those who offend can force the most brutal form of censorship, it also served only to intensify the pre-existing climate that dictates we all have to walk on eggshells to avoid saying anything offensive to or else. Indeed, competitive offense claiming is ratcheting up well beyond religious sensibilities. So when Islamics and feminists may seem to have little in common, they are both united in demanding retribution in the form of bans, penalties, and censorship of those who hurt their feelings. But how do we become so thin-skinned? In I Find That Offensive, Claire Fox addresses the possible causes of what is fast becoming known as Generation Snowflake. Head on, no safe spaces here, and a call to toughen up, become more robust, and make a virtue of the right to be offensive. So I actually borrowed this book from Kev Murphy. He is anti-Generation Snowflake, which I think is A-okay. I haven't started it yet, but it is known that in university culture, you're more liberal, and there are some things that are changing. So I think this is going to be very interesting to read, because even in university when I was there, they were getting rid of acronyms because they're not inclusive. Well, as soon as you tell someone what it is, it's inclusive. Should you get rid of all like words because someone just might not know what it means? It's the same thing, right? So I think there is a line. I think some of them are okay to be crossed. Some of them might have already been too far. But I'm excited to read this. It's a short book. So let's see. Okay, let's talk about this book. So this book in particular, I think if you have the opportunity to read it, you need to. But especially if you're someone who's like shaping younger minds, like teachers, parents, for again, like anybody, I think you should definitely read this book. It's very like eye-opening to things you might not have thought of, but then also things you probably have thought of as well. I don't know, even like think about how playgrounds have even evolved, right? It was dirt, sand, wood chips to make it softer because sand was getting in kids' eyes, and like now it's like fake plastic and there's no fun like machines. By machines I mean playground toys in them anymore, right? Because people are so afraid of like kids getting hurt and being it's just becoming becoming more sensitive to everything. But I definitely think it's a book that you should pick up if you have the chance. So that's that.